Canadian party leaders are rallying support for their campaigns this weekend as voters head towards the fall federal election. The Prime Minister accused his opponents of trying to divide the country. Conservative leader Andrew Scheer insists Justin Trudeau must go.
There are leaders who think some people are less Canadian than others and who would use Islamophobia once again at the ballot box.
This is a turning point in our country's history, a turning point in the history of this province, and my message here today is let's get this thing done.
Recent polls suggest the Liberals and the Conservatives are now neck and neck. Let's bring in Michael Geoghegan, political analyst. He joins us today from Williams Lake, BC. Michael, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so you're an insider. Can you tell me if it's clear when your party leaders have actually switched into campaign mode, or are they always in campaign mode even a year before an election?
Well, I think they're certainly in campaign mode now. They're taking every opportunity to take swipes at each other. They know that this is going to be a neck-and-neck race between the federal Liberals and the federal Conservatives. Both the Greens and the NDP hope to be holding the balance of power, so we're in for a real nail-biter of a federal election probably this October.
Do we need to see Jagmeet Singh more? I feel like he hasn't been around as much as Justin Trudeau and as much as Andrew Scheer. Yeah,
well, certainly, Scheer was out there at the Calgary Stampede, so was the Green Party leader. The NDP leader wasn't there, but yeah, I think you're right. I think they certainly, the challenge for them is to increase the profile of the NDP leader.
All right, let's talk a little bit more about how the parties and their leaders define themselves moving towards that election. In an era where messages are more crossed, it's not like the Conservatives are way off to the right or the Liberals are way off to the left. Everybody's crossing over a little bit. So how do you think they're going to be able to differentiate themselves ahead of the fall?
Well, that's what they're doing right now. Certainly, Scheer is trying to position himself as, look, I'm the candidate who is going to, bring Alberta's economy back. We're going to make sure that Alberta can get its oil to market, that sort of thing, increase our energy sovereignty. Trudeau is positioning himself as, look, if we're going to get a handle on this climate change, Canada has to do its part, and promoting a carbon tax, etc. So I think it's on those kind of issues where they're going to differentiate themselves. And then for the NDP leader, he's going to be saying, I would hope, talking about issues like how the average Canadian is doing. I imagine the NDP is going to be lifting pages out of, the Bernie Sanders and AOC playbook in trying to enhance their candidates. And of course, Elizabeth May, she's going to be hammering on the environment.
Okay, so let's talk about the younger group, the millennials, because they are more or less the group that people want to pitch to these days. Will they have to have a very separate message and separate policy announcements for that group?
No, I think the thing that politicians have to understand is millennials are bearing the brunt of 40 years of neoliberalism. Canadians are in a situation where they're both simultaneously overtaxed and underpaid. Overtaxed because our basic income tax exemptions is at a much, much lower rate than, say, the United States. You can make $40,000 a year in the U.S., and that's $40,000 American, and not pay any income taxes. In Canada, you can make as little as $12,000 and then start to be expected to start contributing to income taxes. On the other hand, when you look at how tuition fees have skyrocketed, how student loan debt has skyrocketed, the cost of buying a house is completely out of reach in most cities for the average Canadian. And millennials are sitting there going, okay, who is going to make life palatable in terms of doing the kind of things that previous generations, quite frankly, took for granted?
Got it. Michael Geoghegan, I've got to leave it there. I'm out of time. But thank you, sir. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.